You know those people who just seem to glide through total chaos, completely unshaken? Yeah, it's not magic. Today, we're going to dive into the psychology behind that superpower, the art and the science of becoming truly unbothered. I mean, does it ever feel like you're not actually in charge of your own emotions? Like you're some kind of puppet, and your mood is attached to these invisible strings that get pulled by every little thing, every person, every event, all day long? And for most of us, that's just a normal day, right? A single rude comment, some guy cutting you off in traffic, or even something as tiny as spilling your coffee can yank a string and boom, your whole day is ruined. We've kind of accepted this as normal, but it really doesn't have to be. Okay, this is the core idea, the one thing you really need to get. Anger isn't something that just happens to you. It's a response you choose. Nobody can just beam an emotion into your head. All they can do is offer you a trigger, and you're the one who decides whether or not to pull it. So, to understand how to take that power back, we first need to look under the hood, see what's happening inside our brains when we get triggered. Because it's not a character flaw, it's just, well, it's biology. And that brings us to this thing called an emotional hijack. This is what happens when your brain's ancient alarm system, this little part called the amygdala, thinks it sees a threat. It hits the panic button and floods your system with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, getting you ready to either fight or run for your life. And here is the major glitch in the system. Your brain, bless its heart, cannot tell the difference between a real life or death danger and a modern-day annoyance. It treats a passive-aggressive email from your boss with the exact same biological panic as coming face-to-face with a saber-toothed tiger. This whole hijack process happens in a split second. Step 1, the trigger happens. Step 2, the amygdala sounds the alarm. And step 3, and this is the most critical part, the rational thinking part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, just goes completely offline. That's why we say and do things we totally regret when we're angry. We're literally not thinking straight. But here's the good news, okay? That initial flood of chemicals, it only lasts about 6 to 20 seconds. That's it. That's your window of opportunity. It's a brief but incredibly powerful moment where you can learn to step in and retake control of the situation. So, if this hijack is just a biological thing, why does it seem to happen so often? Well, it's because we unknowingly walk right into these three major emotional traps that just keep us stuck in that reactive cycle. The three main culprits are personalization, expectation, and control. Think of these as the sneaky mental habits that are constantly giving away our peace of mind. But understanding them, that's the first step to taking it back for good. So, first up is the personalization trap. This is where you make everything about you. The person who cut you off in traffic, they weren't thinking, ha ha, I'm going to ruin this specific person's day. No, they were probably just late or distracted or, honestly, a terrible driver. When you personalize, you make yourself the main character in everybody else's chaotic story. Next, we have the expectation trap. This is when you carry around this secret, super rigid rule book for how everyone else in the world should act. You know, they should be on time. They should be more considerate. They should see things your way. But people are messy and unpredictable, and expecting them to follow your personal rules is just a guaranteed recipe for constant frustration. And finally, there's the control trap. This is the illusion that if you just get angry enough or loud enough, you can somehow force other people to change. I mean, think about it. Has that ever really worked in the long run? Anger almost always makes people dig in their heels and get defensive, not cooperative. The only thing you can ever truly control is your own response. Okay, so we've looked at the problem, we've identified the traps. Now, for the good part. Let's start building your emotional toolkit. These are the practical, real-world strategies you can start using today to escape those traps and reclaim your power. All right, your most powerful tool is something I call the pause protocol. The moment you feel those physical signs of a hijack coming on, your heart starts racing, your jaw clenches up, just stop and breathe. It's simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, and then exhale slowly for 6. That longer exhale actually tells your nervous system to calm down, and it helps bring your rational brain back online. Now, once you've paused, you embrace the power of silence. See, anger craves a reaction. It needs fuel to keep burning, and when you offer it nothing but calm silence, you're literally starving it of oxygen. And without your reaction, that fire just goes out. And this leads to maybe the biggest game changer of all, changing your story. Look, the event itself isn't what causes your emotion. It's your interpretation of the event that does. So instead of assuming malice, try assuming something else. Maybe clumsiness, ignorance, or even just pain. What if they're not out to get you? What if they're just having a really bad day? When you change the story, you change everything.
Okay, now let's zoom out a bit. These tools are fantastic, but the real long-term goal is to adopt a whole new philosophy for how you operate in the world.
So ask yourself this. Are you a thermometer or are you a thermostat? A thermometer just reflects the temperature of the room. If things get heated, it gets heated. But a thermostat sets the temperature. It decides what the climate is going to be. You have to decide to be the thermostat in your own life. And ground yourself in this truth. Your self-worth is non-negotiable. It's like a diamond. A diamond is still a diamond whether it's buried in the mud or sitting in a fancy velvet case. Someone else's inability to see your value doesn't decrease it by a single cent. Think of an insult or disrespect like this. Someone walks up to you and tries to hand you a box of their garbage. You wouldn't take it, would you? Of course not. You have the exact same right to refuse their emotional garbage. You do not have to accept the delivery. This is why forgiveness is so important. But let's be clear, it is not for them. It's for you. Holding onto anger is like forcing yourself to carry a backpack full of heavy rocks. The other person isn't feeling that weight. You are. Forgiveness is just you, finally deciding to put the bag down and walk away free. And finally, when negativity starts swirling all around you, be the eagle. You see, most birds hide from a storm, but an eagle actually uses the updrafts, the turbulence, to lift itself higher, to soar above all the chaos. You can use life's challenges as the very wind that helps you rise above it all. So, who are you handing the keys to today? Let's close with this thought. Your peace isn't something you find. It's a boundary you actively protect. We've talked about handling your own reactions, but what about those people who seem to enjoy pushing your buttons? For anyone ready to become the thermostat in their own life, make sure you're subscribed.